Hi, I'm Iain, editor of the Western Daily Press. I'm talking tonight as part of the Distinguished Executive series at the University of West of England to James Timpson. James is Chief Executive of the Timpson Group. You probably have your keys cut there. You probably have your shoes repaired there. It's an amazing company. He's an amazing man. Okay, James, yours is an amazing business. Tell us how you've grown over the last sort of decade.
Well, when I joined the business, running the business 12, 13 years ago, we had 160 shops. We were doing okay. At a time when we had some competitors, we were the sort of the number 2, 3 in the market, and all we did was shoe repairs and key cutting. And now we've got 1,400 shops, of which 500 are photo processing shops. So the business has grown dramatically at a time when basically all of our competitors have struggled or gone out of business. And that's one of the reasons why we've grown, because we bought their shops as they
Why have they all gone out of business and you're growing?
For 2 reasons. One is because we just concentrated on the people all the time, and they spent loads of time messing around with strategy and got it wrong. And the other is we were very, very clear that we just go for high margin services. So one of the things that our competitors did is, because they were desperate for turnover, they just filled the shops with anything that got them turnover. Luggage, mobile phones, whatever. I mean, I could put the turnover up on our shops tomorrow by putting a load of cigarettes and chocolate bars in, but you don't make money out of that. And they fell into this trap of filling the shops with merchandise, and you get a short-term gain on turnover, but you can't make money.
But you make a lot of money out of cutting keys.
Yeah, because I think we're quite good at it. So one of the things I also realised is you can only be good at so many things, so just concentrate on what you're good at and stop all the things you're not good at. So, and I still make mistakes on this. We still, you think, oh, because I can do this, surely I can have a go at something else. And it's highly unlikely you make a go of it. So we just concentrate on the nitty-gritty, boring things of whatever we do, we try and do it really well.
So what are you really good at?
Picking people to work in our shops who've got loads of personality, are lovely, lovely people, and we let them get on with it. That's what we're good at.
I read somewhere you like employing amazing people.
Yes.
Now, what's an amazing person?
Okay, so let me just take you back one step from that. If we have an amazing colleague, because we do colleagues in our business, running one of our shops, and then they move, and we put someone who's what we call a drongo, hopeless, we'll drop turnover by 50% straight away. So the most important part of our business is not what the shop looks like, it's not how clean it is, it's not how much stock it's got in, is how great the colleagues are. And the way we do that is we train for skill because we can't train for personality. So I recruit someone who's got a wonderful personality, so they're fun, interesting, engaging.
How do you do that? You can't interview everyone, can you?
No, I don't. I can't remember the last time I interviewed somebody. The first thing is you've got to employ the senior team who get it and who are that sort of personality. If they get it, then it all filters down. And we do loads of training on interview techniques. So we'll go into a job centre and interview 20 people who want to become a white van driver, and we'll film those videos and we'll put all the recruiters in a room and say, right, I want you to mark each of those out of 10 for personality. And it's easy to spot the 9s and 10s. We can all spot that. It's also easy to spot the 3, 4s and 5s out of 10s. It's the 6, 7s and 8s that worry me, because I will only have a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in my business.
Right.
For me, an 8 isn't good enough. And although they may be lovely people, they may be great shoe repairers or great photographers, the fact is I only want 9s and 10s, and if they're not 9 or 10, their best isn't good enough for me.
So what makes a 9 or a 10?
Very, very sparky, independently minded, committed, good at taking money, customers like them, and they've just got that sort of, yeah, you're amazing.
And do you get rid of many of them?
No, we never get rid of anybody, they just find their happiness elsewhere. I would say that the other thing that we are very strong on is making sure that those colleagues whose best isn't good enough leave. Because I don't think it's fair on my amazing colleagues to have to work with other colleagues who aren't as amazing as they are. Because a lot of their income is derived from commission, and they're in a team together, it's just not good enough. So you've got to be really good at recruitment, because you've got to have a waiting list of amazing people wanting to work for you. Because if you're desperate, oh my God, I need someone to find someone now, then you will recruit someone who isn't as good as you can normally get.
You've got a big waiting list, have you?
Yeah, we've got 280 odd colleagues on a waiting list wanting to work for us, who are really, really good.
They're 9, 10 people, are they?
9s and 10s. We just unfortunately don't have a vacancy. We have no vacancies in the business at all. One of our problems is when we buy a business, normally from administrators, you get a really mixed bag of colleagues. Some of whom go on to be great leaders in our own business, but a lot that just don't get it. And there is a massive correlation, I'm sure you've seen in the past as well, of failing businesses have loads of colleagues who aren't good enough, and that's especially true in the senior management team.
How did you, I read your dad's column in the Sunday Telegraph every week. Did you inherit this philosophy of people via him, presumably?
Well, my dad's let me do it. My dad's career was really as a shoe retailer, and he sold a shoe retail business in 1987, and he was the chairman of the shoe repair business, and the guy that ran it had run it for years along military lines. It was very much just a tick box business. And then when I came in, we sort of both got it together. We went on this journey together, looking at other businesses around the world and working out what they were doing that was good, and we just nicked the ideas. And I've been much more the sort of the people person out the front. My dad's been the communications strategy guy in the background, so I sort of came up with the idea, this is what we need to do, and he worked out how we communicate that.
Right.
And then we sort of put it together to make it work.
But so why don't you communicate the fact that Sketchleys, Super Snaps, Minute are all Timpsons?
Because their fascias don't exist anymore.
Right.
So when we bought, that was a nightmare business. It only lost 60 million quid in the 3 years before we bought it. So we bought the first part of it. We bought 3 businesses. First part, Sketchley, the dry cleaning business. We kept the supermarket sites, which were profitable, turned them into Timpson multi-service, and then we sold the high street dry cleaning shops to Johnson's. We found it very, very difficult to turn that business around. It was culturally, it was just bankrupt, awful. The Super Snaps business, we weren't interested in at the time, so we sold that to Click for not very much money, but they were happy with it. And the Mr. Minute business, we just transformed it into Timpson straight away. We knew, because from my experience, you can only have one culture. So now, although we have the Timpson shoe repair business and the Max Spearman photo business, it's one culture. It's exactly the same culture the way we run the business. And whenever we've taken on a business and we sort of let them do their own culture, it doesn't work. So that's one of the other things I've learned is you've just got to do culture one way.
And culture is the key standpoint of your business.
That's why we make money. It's not because our shop's in the right places, it's not because we buy keys at the right price or whatever. We make money because our culture's really
why
strong.
don't you go into the high street and challenge some of the supermarkets, for instance?
Well, ironically, a third of my shops are
in supermarkets, aren't you, a lot of them?
Yeah, a third of my business is in supermarkets. And we've done lots of work with Tesco on culture, we've done lots of work with other retail chains on culture, and I think there are lots of other retailers who are really strong on culture.
Who's strong in culture, retail?
Richer Sounds, I think, absolutely fantastic. Hotel Chocolate is very strong. I think Halfords and Pets at Home have been transformed under Matt Davis, who's now going to Tesco. So it'll be interesting to see how Matt does when he gets to Tesco. I also think businesses like Greggs, it's not everyone's cup of tea, that business, but I think they're very good at what they do. In fact, they do a lot of work with ex-offenders as well. But I would say the one big retail business got an incredibly strong culture is Iceland. Malcolm, who runs Iceland, mad as a box of frogs, he's a wonderful guy, but they work for Malcolm. Doesn't matter where in the country, they work for Malcolm.
Yeah. You read a good book, didn't you, recently? Quite good. Tell us about shoe repairing. I mean, I had these shoes repaired at one of your places in Cheltenham, actually. Okay. And it was a great guy. I've been back there several times. He was brilliant. Shoe repairing, good margin?
It's good margin, declining business. So one of our problems, ever since I've been involved in the business, shoe repairs has been declining by between 5 and 10%
Is
a
that
year.
because they're disposable? A lot of people just don't have them repaired.
Yeah. So essentially now there's just two parts of the shoe market. There's the discount market, the shoe zone, the new look, Tesco, which is the big volume end, and then the top end, the Church, the Grensons, the Oaks, and the high fashion ladies' shoes. So the middle market's gone, and that used to be where the bulk of the business was. So our high end of the market is still really good for us. Men's leather shoes, exactly like yours, very strong. But we're also dependent on the fashion cycle. So we want ladies to wear very pointy shoes with a high kitten heel.
So they go quite quickly.
Yeah, so we're sort of, the fashion cycle's going against us at the moment. So that's why shoe repairers don't just cut keys, we repair watches, engrave things, fix phones, because we've always had to find new services to come in to cater for the fall in shoe repairs.
But a lot of these other things are things other people don't want to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite fiddly, quite complex, and a lot of independent operators would shy away from it because to learn the skills and to especially when you do anything new, it's always a nightmare. It takes 3 years, in my experience, to get anything right, and in that process, it costs you a lot of money in complaints and problems, and you're buying the wrong kit, and your training's wrong. It takes 3 years to polish the ball to the stage where you can make money out of it.
Now, lots have been written about how you employ ex-offenders, people out of prison. What was the thought there about that? What was the philosophy behind that?
I've always believed that good businesses do good things, and we've always had a very open mind to recruiting people just on their personality. When I was younger, I was brought up with my parents' foster children, I've got adopted brothers, and there's always been a link with going to prison to go and take the babies to see mum. We always had methadone in the fridge at home, and I've always worked with colleagues in the Timpson business who I've known have been banged up, but they're bloody good at taking money so they can come back. And we've got one guy, and every 4th, 5th Friday, he'd be in a fight. Sometimes he'd get a caution, sometimes he'd get banged up, but he's great at taking money, so pick him up Monday morning, shove him back in the shop. So I've never been prejudiced against it. And the reason why I do it is because I want to fill the business with really good people, and I find some really good people in prison that no one else will give a job to. But also, I just think that it's the right thing to do. Not because I want everyone to know about it, not because I think I'm going to make more money out of it. I just take a huge amount of pleasure of seeing someone who I've seen in prison, their life is in a mess, they are desperate to live a normal life and get back with their partner and look up and provide for their children. And I just think that's what businesses aren't just about making money. They're about being able to do good things, and if you can happen to make a bit of money out of it in the process, that's great. But if I had to turn around tomorrow and get rid of everybody who works for me, who joined us from prison, I would lose some amazing people who make us a lot of money and contribute an awful lot to our business. But also, I think every business should be a bit special. And that's one of the things that we do to make ourselves special. And that in turn enhances the culture.
What do your children think of that idea?
Well, they've been brought up with it, really. Because, for example, 2 weeks ago I gave a lecture with 2 ex-offenders to the school where my boys are at about sex, prostitution, drugs and crime. So it's normal. And I like to think it's made them more open-minded. They go to a boarding school, which is, I'm sure a lot of right-wing parents and kids there, and I quite like the fact that they challenge that.
And will they run the business, you hope?
Yeah, I think family businesses need to be led by a member of the family, otherwise it loses that uniqueness. But I also think it's quite hard to expect the members of the family to come into a business, which essentially our business is a big complex beast now. So I think, yes, I'd love it if they did. Would I put pressure on them to do it? No. But I also have a view where if I can get the business to be even bigger, it's probably easier to run as a family business. And I think they're easier to run as a small business or a much bigger. We're 230 million turnover now. So I think if I could get up to sort of 350, 400, it's easier.
So what are the plans to do that?
Open more shops.
Right.
Add in more services. We don't have we sort of have a 5-year plan. which says the cash always goes like that. I'm sure you've seen that hundreds of times before. And we want to open more shops. We have no targets. We have no specific goals like that. We don't want to go into Europe. We've got shops in Ireland. You can have them if you want. It's hard work there at the moment. We just want to keep going. To us, what's really important is we're a private business. We can do what we like, and we can do it at our own pace. And we like having money in the bank.
And what about investment? Presumably you're often approached about selling the business, I guess?
We used to be quite a lot, and then I think it's obviously on all their spreadsheets, not interested. No, it's never been on our radar, not interested at all. We don't need the money. I don't want to be told what to do.
You don't want to float?
No interest. No interest at all. I mean, it'd be mad to do that. And also that's one of the things I think is great about our tax rules. From an inheritance tax basis, retaining it as a family business is the most efficient way of managing tax. But also, I just think that being a private family business is what makes us the money. And I've got friends who floated the businesses, and that day you float, it's gone. Never the same.
Yeah. Now we're coming up to general election, James. What do you hope for the new government?
Well, considering one of my brothers is a minister, I have to be slightly careful on this. I just think the economy is going really well. I think I've done various bits in the justice world, and one of the problems is they're not brave enough to make proper decisions, and it's so easy for them to water things down. So all I ask is people to make a few decisions that are implemented properly and they really go for it, rather than making lots of little decisions.
Like what? What are the big decisions you'd like them to do properly?
I think the motorway network is appalling, so I think transport is a big one. I'm a big fan of immigration. I think it's fantastic that we have these people who want to come to our country and work hard. For me, I think that's fantastic. So I think it's absolutely wrong to stop immigration. And I just think they should simplify things. Simplify tax. Simplify the way it is how complex it is to build houses. And just stop putting rules and processes in place to arse cover, essentially, and trust people to make decisions and get on with it.
Would you make a good Prime Minister, do you think?
I think I'd be hopeless. I like my 8 hours sleep.